Welcome to the alternate history of the British Empire Imperial Federation, Part 5, 1960 to 1970. The Imperial Federation celebrated its half-century anniversary with the Imperial Exhibition and Games in London at Wembley Park from May to November 1960. On May 24th, the holiday of Empire Day saw large celebrations across the Empire. A week before Empire Day celebrations, the creation of the Imperial Broadcasting Corporation, IBC, was announced. The new broadcaster would provide news and entertainment on radio and television empire-wide and help establish broadcast corporations in dominions of the Empire that did not yet have a broadcaster. The 1960s was a busy decade for the Imperial Federation. It saw significant changes as it added new members rapidly. The first change was that the colonies of North and South Cameroon voted in a referendum on January 1, 1960, to join the colony of Nigeria, which was preparing for Dominion status. 1960 was the first year that the Imperial Federation lost territory. In June 1960, a referendum was held in the colony of Somaliland, asking whether Somaliland should join the Imperial Federation as a dominion or join the newly established Republic of Somalia. The population voted to join the Republic of Somalia, and on June 26, 1960, the colony of Somaliland was granted independence and joined the Republic of Somalia. 1960 continued to be a year of lost territory for the Imperial Federation when, on August 16, 1960, control over the colony of Cyprus was granted to the Kingdom of Greece despite the backlash of the Turkish minority on Cyprus. As part of the deal to give Cyprus to the Kingdom of Greece, the Imperial Federation was permitted to keep its control of the sovereign base areas of Akrotiri and Dhekelia on the island. Although the Imperial Federation lost territory in 1960, it also gained a new member of the Federation. On October 1, 1960, the colony of Nigeria was granted dominion status as a federal dominion, with its capital city being Lagos. It gained 50 seats on the Imperial Council and 100 seats in the Imperial Parliament. On Christmas Day of 1960, Empress Queen Elizabeth II delivered her first televised Christmas speech across the Empire on the IBC, wishing citizens of the Empire peace and happiness in the new year. In the new year, on April 27, 1961, the colony of Sierra Leone became the Dominion of Sierra Leone, with its capital in Freetown. It gained 10 seats on the Imperial Council and 20 seats in the Imperial Parliament. Nearly a year later, on April 26, 1962, the Imperial Federation launched its first satellite, known as Ariel 1, into orbit. It was launched from the newly opened Queen Elizabeth Space Center in the province of Guyana in the Dominion of Caribania. On June 3, 1962, the territory of Palestine gained complete dominion status. It received 10 seats on the Imperial Council, although 5 were to be filled by Arabs and 5 by Jews. They also received 20 seats in the Imperial Parliament. However, in order to help prevent potential conflict between the two religious communities, Palestine would not be given its own Dominion Defense Force. Instead, external security would be covered by a garrison of Imperial troops stationed in the Dominion, and internal security would be the responsibility of local authorities. From June 4th to June 29, 1962, the Imperial Cup football tournament was held in Melbourne, in the Dominion of Australasia. The Australasians won in an upset, beating England 2-1. On October 16, 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis broke out after it was revealed that the Soviet Union had begun to place nuclear missiles in Cuba, threatening the United States and the Imperial Federation's American dominions. The crisis ended once the United States agreed that it would remove its missiles from Turkey if the USSR removed theirs from Cuba. During the Cuban Missile Crisis on October 20, 1962, a border war broke out between the Dominion of India and the Chinese Communists on India's mountainous northeastern border after the Chinese invaded and captured areas they claimed as their own. The war lasted till November 21, 1962, when the Chinese withdrew to the previous borderline after the Royal Imperial Air Force threatened to begin air attacks on Chinese positions in occupied territory. The war resulted in nearly 5,000 casualties among the Indian Dominion Defense Forces. In June 1963, an insurgency broke out in the imperial colony of Muscat and Oman. Communist rebels in the Dhofar region of the colony began to attack oil installations in the area. As a response, the Sultan of Muscat and Oman, Said bin Taimur, with the help of the Imperial Armed Forces, raised a local force led by imperial officers to deal with an insurgency that would last for nearly a decade and a half. On October 14, 1963, a rebellion broke out in the colony of Aden when a rebel threw a grenade at a gathering of imperial officials at Aden Airport. A state of emergency was then declared in the colony. The state of emergency and the resulting guerrilla war lasted till November 30, 1967. Although the state of emergency was lifted in 1967, a minor insurgency still remained in some remote parts of the colony for the next decade. On March 27, 1964, the Imperial Federation launched its second satellite, known as Ariel 2, into orbit. It was launched from the newly opened King Farouk bin Fuad Space Center in the Kingdom of Egypt, thus accomplishing the goal of launching a satellite from both launch pads by 1965. The year 1964 saw the addition of 2 new dominions into the Imperial Federation. The first was the addition of the Dominion of Malta on September 21st. The new dominion joined as a unitary dominion. It gained 1 seat on the Imperial Council and 2 seats in the Imperial Parliament, with its capital being the city of Valletta. On November 19th, the colonies of Kenya, Uganda, South Sudan, and Tanganyika united to form the Dominion of East Africa as a federal dominion, with its capital being the city of Nairobi. The new dominion gained 50 seats on the Imperial Council and 100 seats in the Imperial Parliament. On February 18, 1965, the colony of Gambia was granted dominion status as a unitary dominion, with its capital city being Bathurst. It gained 1 seat on the Imperial Council and 4 seats in the Imperial Parliament. From July 23 to August 20, 1965, the Empire Games were hosted in Kingston, Jamaica, in the Dominion of Caribania. On July 26, 1965, the colony of the Maldives was accepted into the Dominion of India as a province. On October 20, 1965, John Diefenbaker became the first non-British Imperial Prime Minister. He was born in the village of Neustadt, Ontario, in the Dominion of Canada, and was previously the Prime Minister of the Dominion of Canada from 1957 to 1963. On January 15, 1966, some officers in the Nigerian Defense Force committed a coup d'etat against the Dominion's civilian government and killed the Prime Minister of Nigeria, Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. The Imperial government orders Imperial troops and Dominion defense troops from Ghana and Sierra Leone to overturn the coup and occupy the country until new elections can be held. The Dominion's voting power within the Imperial government is revoked until a civilian government can be elected. A trial for the leaders of the coup is held. The trial for the plotters wraps up by November 1966. The leaders of the coup, Kaduna Nzeogwu, Adewale Ademoyega, and Emmanuel Ifeajuna, are sentenced to death by hanging. On January 30th, 1967, new elections were held in Nigeria, and Sir Muhammadu Sanusi became the new Prime Minister. The Nigerian Defense Forces are put under the control of Imperial Armed Forces officers indefinitely. On May 5, 1967, the Imperial Federation launched its third satellite, known as Ariel 3, into orbit. It was launched from the Queen Elizabeth Space Center in the province of Guyana in the Dominion of Caribania. From June 1st to June 25th, 1967, the Imperial Cup football tournament was held in London, England. In the finals, Scotland beat England 3-2. On June 17, 1968, the Malayan Communist Party, MCP, launched an ambush against Malayan Dominion Defence Forces in the area of Kro Betong, in the northern part of Peninsular Malaysia, killing 17 members of the Defence Forces. This was the first attack by communist guerrillas in the Dominion since the lifting of the state of emergency in 1959. The Imperial Armed Forces would provide elite counter-insurgency units to help protect the Dominion, but periodic attacks from the MCP against the government of the Dominion of Malaysia would continue for the next 20 years. On February 13, 1969, a communist terrorist organization in the province of Quebec in the Dominion of Canada, known as the Front de Libération du Québec, FLQ, bombed the stock exchange in the city of Montreal. In August 1969, Imperial Prime Minister John Diefenbaker announced the plans for the construction of a new spaceport in the province of Kenya in the Dominion of East Africa. He also announced that the Imperial Space Agency planned to put a person in orbit by the end of the century. As the fifth decade of the Imperial Federation came to a close, the Imperial Federation was strong and united. However, there was a slight fear of whether the Federation would stay strong and united. The 1960s was the first decade since the founding of the Imperial Federation, in which it lost territory. It was also a decade of increased violence and rebellion within the Federation and its colonies, which had many worried about the future of the Federation. On the other hand, there were positive aspects. The Federation added 5 new dominions to the Federation. It launched 3 satellites into orbit, while also announcing a goal to send a person into orbit by the end of the century. Thanks for watching. Join us next time for Part 6 to see how the Imperial Federation deals with its challenges of unity. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you haven't yet done so, go back and watch the other videos in this series.